Ladies and gentlemen, I cannot believe what I just read on Business Fox. Now, you all know that there are mortgage rates out there. You have to pay a certain percentage to get a loan to buy a house. Well, I read about this couple that was able to get a 0% mortgage interest rate. And I didn't believe it when I first saw it. And I was like, all right, I'll read the article. It's probably clickbait. And I read the article, and this couple did, in fact, get a 0% interest rate on their mortgage. Now, rates have fallen pretty significantly. I got mine for about 2.89%, and some people can probably get lower now. I mean, maybe rates have dropped even more. But this couple actually got a 0% interest rate. And for the life of me, I couldn't figure out why. And they were talking about inflation and low interest rates and yada, yada. So I actually had to go and open an Excel file. Me being an accountant, I love Excel. It helps me really parse things out and really figure out what I'm looking at. And I was able to figure out how this couple hacked the mortgage system and was able to generate a 0% mortgage interest rate. So they are literally paying zero interest for the next 30 years. But I figured it out, and here's how they did it. So I'm excited, ladies and gentlemen, to show you how you can lower your interest rate to 0% with one simple hack. And that hack, ladies and gentlemen, is called the Federal Reserve. Now let's go ahead and pull up this awesome Excel sheet that I made. And I'm going to show you how this couple got literally a 0% interest rate. So what I went ahead and did is I made what's called a mortgage amortization table. So let me zoom in for you. Go to the top. Now, when you take out a mortgage, you're going to take out a loan to buy your house. And you're going to have a monthly mortgage payment. Now, that payment doesn't all go to pay down your loan. Part of that payment goes to interest. That is your interest expense. So imagine, let's say in this example, I have a $254,000 mortgage, which is the mortgage that this couple got. I calculated based on a 2.89% interest rate that their monthly payment would be $1,055.86. Now, part of that payment is going to be interest and part of it's going to be principal. And what happens with a mortgage amortization table is over time, the interest payment, the interest portion of that payment goes down and down and down. And the principal portion goes up and up and up. So at the beginning of your mortgage, you're actually paying mostly interest with that same steady fixed payment. But as you pay that loan down more and more and more, the interest rate calculated on that loan the interest rate's the same, but the interest rate is calculated based on a lower mortgage balance. That's why you'll see, as we go down this table, that interest goes down and down and down, and principal goes up and up and up. Now, I put my mortgage rate on this table, and if you got a lower interest rate, I don't want to hear about it, okay? I don't want to hear bragging, but I got a 2.89% interest rate on my beautiful, perfect, super amazing townhome. Now, with this mortgage amortization table, it's going to show you for every payment, how much of that payment is principal and how much of that is interest. And theoretically, after 360 payments, that's 30 years of monthly payments, your principal, your loan balance will be zero. So starting with this mortgage amortization table, I have the mortgage amount, and you can change it. Let's say it's $500,000. Look at that. All the numbers change. It's the beauty of Excel. But we'll go back to $254,000. It also calculates the payment for you. This is the payment that you're going to pay every single month until you pay off your loan. I have the interest rate. I have the number of payments. So if it's a 30-year mortgage, it's going to be 360 payments. If it's a 15-year mortgage, it's going to be half, 180 payments. And I have this thing that's called the inflation rate. Now, if you didn't know, ladies and gentlemen, the supply of money relative to the amount of goods and services produced in the economy has generally increased at a faster rate, which leads to inflation. So if you haven't noticed, over time, things become more and more expensive. That's inflation. It's just more money is being injected into the system, or maybe costs are increasing, or there's a ton of factors that play into inflation. But basically, the nominal dollar amount of everyday items generally goes up over time. That's inflation. So here we're going to assume there's a 2.89% interest rate, and that'll play into effect later. So going down the table, you look at the number of payments. Now, if we scroll down, after 360 payments, your principal balance will be zero. Look at that, ladies and gentlemen. Now, if you ever want to make your own mortgage amortization table, that's how you would do it. And if you got a zero on the bottom right, that means you did the table correctly. And of course I did it correctly. I mean, it's me, bro. Anyway, so this is a mortgage amortization table. Now, here is how this couple was able to hack the system. When you pay your mortgage payment is in nominal dollars. So every month, for example, using this specific mortgage payment, you're paying $1,055.86 every month for 360 months. That number does not go up as time goes on. Now, you may have increases in your property tax and you may have increases in your insurance costs. That might rise with inflation. But your actual mortgage payment, that's for principal and interest with a fixed rate loan, will stay exactly the same. Now, if the value of the dollar declines over time, so you can basically $1 buys less and less and less, generally you're going to be getting pay raises. So over time, your mortgage payment in real dollars will actually go down. That's actually the beauty of inflation when you borrow on fixed terms. Over time, inflation erodes the cost of that payment in the future. Now, what this couple did, and they're genius, is they watched the news and they saw about the virus and money printing, and they were like, you know what? I think inflation is probably going to be pretty significant in the next 10, 20, 30 years. I mean, historically, I know it hasn't been that high, but we'll see. So they said, and this couple's genius, they said, if the inflation rate is higher than my interest rate, I'm actually paying less for my home than what I bought it for in real dollars. So for example, let's say we change this inflation rate to 3%. So I calculated the mortgage payment over here on the right, ladies and gentlemen. It's in red, nice pretty red color right here. This is your flat mortgage payment. And then I calculated the present value of that mortgage payment. Remember, every single month, year, decade, the purchasing power of your dollars is eroded by inflation. So if you're paying the same dollar amount, in real terms, that dollar amount is actually less and less and less. It becomes easier to pay your mortgage or whatever. Now, this couple saw that if the inflation rate was higher than the interest rate on their loan, they would actually pay less. So with a 3% mortgage rate or 3% inflation rate and a 2.89% mortgage, their total real cost for this home is $250,493. Now you're like, wow, that's pretty high. Well, the actual mortgage amount, they bought the home for $254,000 and they're only paying $250,000. So since inflation, or they're expecting inflation to be higher, they're actually paying less over time for that house in real dollars than what they bought it for. Now, let's say there's hyperinflation, okay? Let's say the printer presses just keep printing money. We got to give everybody benefits and save the world because we're so liberal and we're good people. Let's say inflation goes up to 10%, all right? What would the real cost of this home be? $120,316. So if you're a homeowner, you actually want inflation to happen because as long as you have a broadly diversified portfolio that keeps up with inflation, because inflation erodes the true cost of your mortgage payment. So if there's hyperinflation, bring it on. Bring it on. My actual cost of my mortgage will go down and down and down. I'll keep getting pay raises, yada, 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 but my mortgage payment will stay exactly the same. That's what this couple did. Now, you may be wondering, who is this couple? Who is this genius that figured out that if inflation is higher than your interest rate, you're actually paying less for your home than you really bought it for? It was me, ladies and gentlemen. But it also applies to you. So if you have a very low mortgage rate and then you see inflation start to pick up, you kind of want to welcome that. As long as the majority of your portfolio, the majority of your assets are tied up in things that grow with inflation, stocks, real estate, blah, 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 blah. it's actually a good thing. Inflation hurts poor people that don't really have a lot of assets, even though the government prints money to help poor people, but that triggers inflation because they're flooding money into the system, and that actually hurts them in the long run. It's a stealth tax. But you don't need to be scared of inflation, especially if you own a mortgage, because the higher the inflation, the cheaper in real dollars is your fixed rate mortgage. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's see if there's any questions. Nice. Anyway, like and subscribe. Buy my book, Stop Being a Broke Loser. It's $3 on Amazon. Hit the bell button for notifications and tell your friends about me. You have a wonderful night.